Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Lawn Bowls for Fun channel. Firstly, it's really great news is that yesterday I found out that I had over 200 subscribers to this channel, which is absolutely fantastic, and I'd like to thank everybody that's subscribed so far. It's far more than I expected, so that's really great news. I also get quite a bit of correspondence from new people asking questions, and in most cases I can reply to them and answer the questions quite simply, or point them in direction of one of my other videos. But the question I get asked most is about line. The questions are either I'm not consistent, I'm not finding the line as much as I want to, or how do I find the line? Where's the best place to focus on when you're trying to find a line? So I just thought it would be worth, although I've covered this in the very first video that I made on bowling, I thought I'd cover it again in a bit more detail. Most people, when they talk about finding the right line and the length, it's called the 2 L's, so that is line and length. Although some people say there's 3 L's, line, length and luck. Okay, maybe luck comes into it a little bit, but really you make your own luck. And unless the jack is surrounded by a cluster of bowls and you've got a bit of a minefield to get through where maybe a bit of luck comes into it, you still have to aim for the line that you think will be the best way to find your way through to that jack. So I'm now going to show you the best way to do that. First, let me say that everybody's got a different method of finding the line. I'm going to show you the one that I've found over the years is the most successful, that won't necessarily get you to get a bowl on the jack with every single bowl, but you'll get bowls within that vicinity of the jack, and your likelihood of improving your consistency will go up. I can promise you, if you use this method. However, having said that, if you find another method works for you, don't change it. You know, it's you can experiment maybe, but if you find that you're finding the line regularly on a different method, then by all means stick to it. Now you'll see I've placed some markers on the green. 3 markers. Yellow one denotes the centre of the rink. The red one is placed if I'm going to bowl down the green to the left, which is my backhand, but I'm a right-hand player. If you're a left-hand player, it'll be your forehand. So I'll talk about left and right-hand sides of the green rather than forehand and backhand, because that depends on whether you're left or right-handed. So if you're aiming down the green and you're going to the left, that's the red marker is where I want my bowl to roll over that marker. And the blue one is if I'm going to aim to the right. Now the best way I've found to do that is, when you're looking at it, you know the line you're looking for. Let's just say I'm going on the left-hand part of the green. I'm going to go and stand on the mat now and explain. If I'm aiming down the green to the left, I'm roughly aiming to the corner of the door, roughly where the marker is on the other rink. We're on rink 3, so the marker between rink 3 and 4 is roughly the line I'm looking for. Now some people find by looking at that marker, or looking at if you can see the signposts on the wall that are in green, or the edge of the door, they find focusing on that works for them. But over the years I've spoken to a lot of top bowlers, and I always ask them the same question: where is the last point you focus on the green when you're just about to bowl? And 9 times out of 10 they say it's not at the distance, it's actually closer to the mat. And in fact I've placed these markers about 3 meters from the mat. It doesn't have to be 3 meters, it can be nearer or slightly farther away, because what you're doing is you're looking for a mark on the bowling green to aim for, a focal point. So if I'm bowling to the left, the red marker is my focal point. So here you can see the line. The red line is the one I'm concentrating on, bowling to the left of the centre of the line. Now you'll see that I've got 3 letters on there, A, B and C. Now A is where you would aim if you prefer to look the full length of the green, and some people do that and find it works for them.
We might aim at the marker or the side door or the green plaque on the wall, whatever you prefer really. The B marker is where the shoulder is. The shoulder is where the bowl will start to turn. And on in most coaching manuals, and coaches are sort of told to teach people that's the perfect aiming point. And again, it works for quite a few people, and if it works for you, then fine, and don't change anything. But the method I'm using is C, where you're looking at or focusing a lot nearer to you, and I find that a lot of new people, especially if they're bowling and are not finding the line, when I tell them to focus nearer, 3, 4, 5 yards away, that seems to work for them, and that's why I'm recommending you with this video to try that out to see if it works. I do find it's very successful with a lot of people, but as I say, everyone has to find a way they prefer themselves, and you know, if you find one works, then stick with it. Whilst on the subject of the line, I just want to mention that indoors and on a very fast surface, you would need to aim wider anyway. And on a fast surface, the bowl will start to bend a bit sooner than 2/3 down the green, could be halfway down the green. And here you can see a good example of where I'd have to aim on the red line well into the next rink. And in a minute I'll show you a video where it shows you how much wider it is on an indoor surface. But you don't have anything to see on the green, that's the problem. But you see the little white dots down the middle of the carpet, you use that as a guide. So you might aim 6 or 8 inches to the left of the dots one hand and maybe 10 to 12 inches on another, depending on what green it takes. So there's no surface colours, dark spots or white spots. You have to look at those white dots down the middle of the green to give you an idea of the line you're looking for. And here's a bowl that I did indoors just to give you an idea how wide you have to go compared to outdoors.
Now you'll notice that the red marker is nearer to the yellow marker than the blue one is. And there's a reason for that, because every single bowling green you go to and every single rink you play on, the line is slightly different. It's not so easy that they're always exactly the same. I'm afraid that would be too easy. So the rinks are different, and you need to find out what the line is on those rinks, which is when you go and play on a rink you've not played before, or even if you play a game on your home rink, you normally get a trial end, so you get the chance to put a bowl up each side of the rink, which will then give you a rough idea what the line is going to be. And you can see the line is slightly tighter on the left hand side of the green than it is if I bowl on the right hand side. And in fact that will change as well, because it's early morning here and the green hasn't long been watered. It's going to be running quite slow, so the markers are not going to be that wide. But we've got a baking hot day here in Farnborough today. It's going to be sort of mid-30s by about 1 o'clock. And by about 3 o'clock, having had that heat on it all day, the green's going to really speed up. So you'll find you need to maybe move out a little bit wider, because the bowl will run faster and it will take longer to stop and it will take more green. So you have to work that one out yourself, I'm afraid. That can be quite difficult. But I know roughly, well, I hope I know roughly, where the line is for the current conditions. So I'm going to put 2 bowls down on the left hand part of the green, and I'm going to put another 2 bowls down on the right hand side. So 2 on the red marker and 2 on the blue marker.
So you can see the aiming point along the red line is the edge of the rink, and I'm bringing my eyes now down the bowling green, and some people aim about 2/3 of the way up just before the bowl starts to bend, and some people find that works, but I'm bringing my eyes further down, and there's the red marker which I'm aiming for. So that's my focal point, which I'm going to be looking at when I bowl. I remember the distance to the jack, but that's my focal point.
Right, going to the left first, over the red marker. Well, I hit the marker. Let's see where this bowl ends up. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Right, let's see if I can do it again. Slightly inside the marker, but it's going to be okay. Also slightly short with that one. Right, let's try the blue side now. So here we are. As I've mentioned, the blue marker is further to the right. It's a wider line on this hand. I'm aiming past the marker on the next rink, but it should still work well. Now I pushed, you'll notice I clipped the right hand side of that blue marker. And I'm also, I've sent that through with a bit of weight, haven't I? I've gone through with that, but I'm still happy that it's the right line. That's what I'm aiming for at the moment, get that line right. That's a better one. It was running a bit, but it managed to knock one of my bowls up, so it didn't matter. Right, let's go and have a look and see how I got on, shall we? So you can see there, well, trying not to get my shadow in the way. This one that's short, in fact, was going a bit quick, and I managed to punch one of my bowls up, so that would have ended up past the jack. But it would have actually been also slightly to the left a bit more. But the other three are lined up pretty well, as much as I'd like them to be, and of course I've got two on the jack. The second one was pushed there, it was about 12 inches short. But I'm happy with that. I'm holding two nice bowls right near the jack. Another one in a nice place just past. And the one short, well, there we go. You're not going to get every single bowl exactly where you want it to be. If you do that, you're going to be an international player before you know it. Be happy to get one or two of your bowls there and build on that. So a good practice is to put markers down. If you get onto the green and do some practicing, put the markers down and aim for those first. And once you've successfully starting to hit that target, take the markers away and look for patches on the green. Unfortunately, sometimes there's not that many. There might be a stray leaf blowing across the green, which you can use. The trouble is they tend to move, leaves, so you can't rely on that. But there's always some little patch which you can then aim for. So the important thing is the focal point is not far away from where you're standing, 4, 5, 6 meters maybe. Now once you've got that line right, of course, you've got to think about the weight and how to find the right length. So let me just go through that now. With length, it's a funny one, length, because you almost get a feel for it. Give you an example. If you have a new bowler come to the green, and at some point we ask them to bowl down the green, and we've given them a bit of instruction of how to hold the bowl and what stance to use, etc. But they send that first bowl down, they never bowled before. All right, maybe sometimes they'll get one quite close to the jack, but invariably they might be 3 or 4 yards short or 3 or 4 yards through. And I always ask the question, okay, what did you think about that? What do you think you can do to improve your chances of getting nearer the jack? They all say, yeah, well actually I didn't send it with enough power, or I put too much power in it, I need to reduce it. Automatically they're doing that without me telling them anything. And so invariably the second one they put up is a lot nearer to the jack because they've already adjusted. Adjusting weight for sort of 3 or 4 yards, it shouldn't be a problem. It's adjusting weight for a couple of feet or even 6 inches. Now that is hard to do. I've been trying to do that for 35 years. So if you find a way of doing it, let me know. But the only two things you can do is if you use the athletic stance, taking a step forward, you may find it easier if on a short jack you don't take such a big step, and on a long one you do take a longer step because that gives you a bit more momentum. So the adjustment there is how far you step forward. If you don't take a step forward, and you've noticed that I don't, because I've got a very poor balance mechanism, and if I take a step forward invariably I'll lose my balance. I don't fall over, but I lose my balance enough for the ball to go anywhere. So I used a fixed stance, so I'm not taking a step forward there. So all I do is on a short jack is I don't bring my arm back so far. I'm almost sort of pushing the ball along the green. And if it's a long jack, yes, I do bring my arm back and do a much longer pendulum swing, and that's the way I help adjust the weight. But it is strange. It is you do get a feel for it. You know how much weight you've got to take off. But the trouble is, I'm sure you've all been in this position. I have many times. Is you overcompensate sometimes. You're meant to take a yard off and you take 2 yards or 3 yards off, and that just comes from experience. You just have to try and practice that as much as you can. In fact, a good way to practice different weights is to have, if you can come down to the green, have 2 jacks on the green, a short one and a long one, and just every other bowl you're adjusting all the time, or even better 3 jacks. In fact, when you start practicing, don't worry about the length, just aim on getting that, concentrate on that line solely. It doesn't matter if you're 4 feet through or 4 feet short. It's the line, as long as they're lined up, central along that line in the middle of the green, then you're starting to get that line. And then once you've got the line sussed out, then you can concentrate on getting the weight right. So I hope you found that useful. Get out there and practice, get some colour markers on the green, and your game will improve, I promise you. Right. So that's it for me from a very hot day here in Farnborough. I don't know what temperature is now, but it's going to be baking later on. And I'm not bowling this afternoon, thankfully. I think they'll find that a bit too hot. So stay safe and enjoy your bowling. See you again soon.